Okay. Continue. I'm going to call to order a regular meeting of the Wellington Board of Selectmen. Today is Monday, June 21st, 2021 at 6:34 p.m. The first item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you will join me, I apologize, I do not have a flag in my office. Give me one moment. Okay. How much you'll be able to see me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Give me one moment. Troy got bumped off the meeting. He's trying to get back in. Okay. All right. Thank you for sticking with us. I am happy to say that after about 16 months, this is the first real big glitch we've had. So not so bad. All right. The next item is approval of minutes. In your packet, you should have minutes from our June 1st meeting. I'm sorry, June 7th meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of June 7th as written.
I'll second. Any discussion? No. All right. Seeing none, I will call for a vote.
Lessington,
Aye.
Waschinsky.
Aye. All right. Motion carries. All right. Present to speak. If there is anyone on the call that would like to speak, you should have the ability to unmute yourself. I ask you to identify yourself for the record and limit your comments to 2 minutes. Is there anyone on the call that would wish to speak?
I would like to speak, Jim Bulick, Laurel Drive.
Okay.
You hear me?
Yes,
okay.
we can.
Okay. I understand, I'm reading the agenda. It looks like you're going to be discussing the treasurer's position again. I'm just going to reiterate some of the key points I made at previous meetings. It's important that the functions of receiving the money, depositing the money, and then recording the journal entries of the money are handled by separate people. That's how you minimize risk of theft to the town of Wellington. I'm hoping that we find somebody with some type of accounting or business administrative background. And I think those are the really key points I want to bring up right there. It's very important to get those separation of activities to minimize risk. The Board of Finance, as I recall, during my tenure, had this entire conversation. This isn't just me. This is from consulting our auditors, and we've had a lengthy discussions on it. I believe, I want to say, I think it was in September 2019. But if there's some reason you need me to go dig that out and find the exact set of minutes, I'm sure I can do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else present to speak? All right, you will have an opportunity at the end of our meeting if you so choose. Next item is correspondence. You have no new correspondence in your packet. We'll move on to First Selectman status report. The steep grant for the Old Town Hall septic, we are still waiting for the contract from Deep. Troy, you haven't heard anything since I last made these notes. Okay. So we're still waiting for them. And I think things might start to progress a little bit more as folks, I think the state is moving towards getting folks back into offices. So we're seeing things slow down a little bit right now. The school building committee, there was a meeting last Wednesday. I had shared with you that Costa Diamantis, the Deputy Secretary of DAS, and he also heads the Office of School Construction and Grant Review, spoke at that meeting and did a question and answer period with both the committee and members of the public. So I will point you towards the town YouTube page, which you can get to from the town webpage. And from the town's webpage, on the left-hand side, you'll see online board and commission meetings, and that's where folks can find that meeting if they'd like to hear the conversation that transpired between the public, Mr. Diamantis, and the school building committee. The committee meets again next Wednesday, 2 Wednesdays, July 7th, where I anticipate a follow-up from the committee at that point on that conversation, John. So what didn't happen was we heard all the information and then we continued on with items that were on our agenda. We didn't have too much conversation amongst our committee. So I would anticipate that maybe one of the items on the agenda, the next meeting, to kind of dissect what we all heard at that meeting and what came of that. The LOTSIP grant, still nothing new there, except for I believe I'd mentioned to this group as well. I apologize, I've spoken to multiple groups. It does look, we're waiting for a final confirmation, but it does look as though we may have been able to manage to stretch the funds for the entire project. So Hall School to the Mills. And so assuming the final review goes through and then we get ready for the design process. It may mean that we may need a few more dollars for design because our original ask for funding for the design work was based upon it stopping at a certain point. But as some things have changed, we may need some additional dollars. So once Mike D'Amato gets that final information, then we would go back with a request for additional funds if need be. But they were looking to see what they could do within this, the scope of work and with the dollars that we had. So, but the best part of that is that it looks like we may have increased not just the length of the project, but the actual funds they were willing to give us. So there was a lot of different factors on that. I did say that I would just give some COVID updates here in the status report now. So I will tell you, as of today, the town office building asks that anyone visiting us follows CDC and Connecticut Department of Public Health guidelines and the governor's guidelines, where if you're not fully vaccinated, you wear a mask indoors. If you're fully vaccinated, a mask is not required. So if you see folks in and around the town office building without a mask, that is why. And we have lots of partitions in place between offices to protect staff from residents, residents from staff, vice versa. So vaccines on that end, as of 6/16, the latest data shows that Willington has 50.58% of its community fully vaccinated. And various 100 there, the state is reporting 100% of our residents 65 and over vaccinated, 58.4% of our residents 45 to 64, and 38.8% of residents 15 to 44 vaccinated. I'm still trying to get some clarification now that the age is lower than that 16 and 17, whether or not that data includes them or not. So I'm not 100% sure. We have just had 2 COVID positive cases since our last meeting. So things are still doing well across the state. You'll see the overall state number is significantly lower than we had been. I believe today, I think the number I saw today was 0.4% positivity rate. So we're definitely going in the right direction, and folks are outside a lot more. In-person meetings is something we're all very interested in. I talked to you about there being the potential for a mandate to hold hybrid or remote meetings. It looks as though the language in the implementer bill says we will be allowed to hold fully remote or hybrid meetings or fully in-person meetings. What that means is each board and commission will be able to make that decision for themselves. My only concern with that is that if multiple boards who meet on the same night choose to have a hybrid meeting, whether some of their members wanted to remain fully remote or allow residents to still attend in that manner. We don't have the technology capabilities currently to be able to do that in more than one room. So that would be a little bit difficult. So my recommendation is that we stay remote until September, and then we can formulate a plan. And I think this is a good use of our ARPA funds to be able to outfit not just the main meeting room, the main room upstairs, but the main meeting room downstairs, so that two commissions could meet at the same time in that hybrid mode if need be. So let's, I'm going to use next month, for instance. We meet on Tuesday, July 6th. I believe that same day there's a PZC meeting. So if both of those boards chose to do a hybrid meeting, we wouldn't have the ability to broadcast that out within this building. To have people in person, board members and public in person, and board members and or public on Zoom. So my recommendation is that until September, we stay remote and give us the opportunity to move in a different direction. Certainly each board can make their own decision at this time, but I think what we saw was increased community engagement in our meetings. And I want to be able to offer that. So if a board chooses, if two boards choose to be hybrid, we don't have the ability to broadcast those meetings. Your feedback on that, John?
Well, I'm hoping we can go to in-person meetings, and I guess we could set both meeting places up, but hopefully we're going to be done with the Zoom and the hybrid pretty quickly, unless another crisis pops up again.
Yeah, I'd like to get as many of our board members in person as possible, but I do think you're going to find that there are still members of different boards and commissions that are leery to come to an in-person only meeting. And besides that, I could see our board coming back together and holding an in-person meeting, but still allowing the public to participate in this manner. We do have the ability to do that, but no other meeting could be held in the same time.
Right.
And so what the bill says is that each commission has the ability to make that choice for themselves. So what would be a disservice is if they make that choice and then they don't have the tools by which to make that happen. So I'll be sending communication out to all of the chair people of the different boards and commissions so we can have a conversation about that. We still have yet to receive our ARPA funds. We were told to expect them before June 30th. And just so you know, John, I think I've mentioned this between here and the Board of Finance. I hope I've said this to this board. The assumption, shy of any further guidance, is that it would still follow the current mechanism the town utilizes for spending any other state or federal aid. So we had the CARES money that we received first. We were spending it out of our budget and then reimbursing with that. So most of those decisions were made out of my office. Once the emergency declaration is over, that cannot happen. And we don't have a mechanism in place. So it would be our legislative body, which in Willington's case is town meeting, would be the deciding factor for those funds. So instead of having a town meeting every time we wanted to buy something, I think we need to formulate a plan and then take that, at least a starter plan to town meeting at that point. And it may be a couple of items and then we look further than that. But it cannot just be spent by the Board of Selectmen and or the Board of Finance. It will take legislative action, which I think is important. Important that we involve our community in the process of how we spend $1.7 million. And make sure we do it on the right things. I started having conversations with Donna and our auditors last week about how and if we could use the revenue loss capabilities of these funds and what that would look like for us. So we started taking a look at that and what dollars, if any, we could use as one of the uses was revenue loss. And so, and then what the use of the funds after that would look like. So it's, I would love to say it was just cut and dry, take these funds, you know, make some purchases, plan some activities, you know, economic development type spending, whether it was a loan program, a grant program, back to small businesses, to individuals. But there are lots of different ways we can use it. And so it's going to take some time. We do not have to spend it the minute we get it. And the state has no say in how we spend it. It is by the rules of the interim final rule from the US Treasury.
Well, I know we didn't expect that the bureaucracy would let us make this easy. We might want to think about setting up provisional dates for town meetings, because it sounds like we might have quite a few of them. Provisional date, any item that has come up for that month's town meeting, could just put in there.
And I'm hoping one of the things we can do is pay for some of the town meetings with some of these funds, because it's going to be more potentially more town meetings. It depends on what the plan looks like. It depends on, you know, how we're spending it, whether or not we need multiple town meetings, but it remains to be seen. But again, we have until December 31st, 2024 to allocate the funds, and then we have till 2026 to actually have spent them all.
Okay.
So it's not happening tomorrow or even by this December. So while we've got it, we want to make sure we use it to the best of our ability to best serve our community and our residents. You look perplexed.
Did that change? I thought the final date for spending it was December 31st, 2024.
So what all we had been hearing all along was December 31st, 2024, same thing. When the interim final rule was written, if you take a look, and I don't have the page in front of me, it does tell you, and in our information sessions we've had, it does tell you have till 2026 to spend them. Let's say you have a larger long-term project or a larger infrastructure project. If we were putting in sewer somewhere, let's say we had sewer and we were redoing sewer, 3/4 of the town, that might take you longer to complete the project. So you have till 2026 to complete and actually spend the dollars, but they have to have been encumbered and allocated by the end of calendar year 2024. So that was a newer provision. All right, any other questions, comments? Okay, we'll move on to Public Works. Troy is with us. Troy, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. We installed the new stop sign on Batty Road. Somebody keeps stealing that stop sign, so hopefully they can stop stealing it so we don't keep replacing it. We get the trash at the park on Mondays and Thursdays. We've loomed some areas in town that were damaged by the plows. We moved the docks and all the pond stuff to Hall's Pond for the Parks and Rec Department. We cleaned out our parts room and organized some new inventory. The rest of the winter sand was hauled in. We did some milling and paving on Hancock Road today. The entranceway took out that bump and around the turn as you start going up the hill. That was all done. We picked up 2 more radar signs from the state that they gave us through their program. So we'll have 2 more in town that we can put up. These are solar powered, so they're bigger signs. They're more stationary than the ones we have currently right now. We mowed around the Public Works and the transfer station. We mowed around Hall's Pond, the senior center. We cleaned up the garage, and we've been currently fixing some washouts around town and roadside mowing. I just want to let everybody know that the other roadside mower, the M&B, blew a hydraulic pump, and it's out about 3 weeks. So we're doing our best to keep up with the grass, but we are down a mower.
And John, for your reference, that's the older of the 2 mowers. The
yep.
new one is working.
Yes, the new one's working. It's the other smaller one. Yep.
Okay. And Troy, I know we talked this morning. You mentioned the sign on Batty Road. This morning, Public Works had to replace quite a few signs, street
Yes.
signs
Yep.
and stop signs around town. So for whatever reason, it seems to be a trend that we're seeing folks either damage or completely remove signs. So we want to keep an eye out for that. Certainly, the sign should not be removed or intentionally damaged for sure. So we'll keep an eye on that and see if that continues, if it continues to be in a particular place, and if we can get any information on it. All right. Any questions regarding Public Works, John? Thank you. Troy will get back to you shortly.
Okay.
All right. The first item of new business is a refund. I move to refund Nissan Infiniti LT $42.98 on a certificate of correction.
Second,
Seconded by John. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I will call for a vote.
Blessington,
aye.
Waschinsky,
Aye. Right, motion carries. Next item of business is planning and zoning clerk of the works. John, you should have in your packet a memo from our zoning agent.
Right.
So as you know, the Love's travel stop is coming in, and that will require us to have a clerk of the works. So I will move to delegate contracting authority to the Willington Planning and Zoning Commission and its staff for the purposes of engaging engineering and construction oversight services as outlined in the town's RFQ 21-1 and is required by PZC 19-12 for work associated with the construction of a Love's Travel Stop and Country Store at 3 Polster Road, Willington, Connecticut.
I'm so glad to see this,
Is there a second? That was my motion.
getting off the runway here, that I will happily second this.
Okay, so for discussion purposes, we did speak with our land use attorney as to who needed to appoint and or hire the clerk of the works. There is no out-of-pocket costs at the town. All the costs will be borne of the developer. So it is, I know this has been in the works for some time. The RFQ has already gone out, but Halloran and Sage believed that it was best for us to make the formal motion to allow planning and zoning to enter into those agreements.
Okay.
All right. Any further discussion?
Nope.
All right, I will call for a vote.
Blessington,
Aye.
Waschinsky,
Aye. Motion carries. All right, I want to thank Mike and his staff for all the work happening on that. So we look forward to seeing that started. As soon as we, know that things are proceeding, when we get closer to any sort of groundbreaking, we'll make sure we share that information so that you know. The next item is approved specifications and vendors for Public Works. Public Works had 3 vehicles in their budget coming into the new fiscal year. And so the first step in this process is for our Public Works Director, Troy, has received bids for the 3 vehicles. They are all off the state bid list. And so one at a time, we would approve the specifications and the vendor. And then the next step is for us to begin the process of leasing the vehicles. And then that will be a multi-step process. There will be a public hearing and separate board of selectmen votes to accept the lease agreement that we so choose. So an RFP, Donna and I will put together an RFP that will go out for leasing companies based on these items now. So I'm going to make a motion and then maybe have some discussion. So I'm going to move that we award the vendor based on specifications for 2021 Ford F-350 to Putnam Ford in the amount of $49,942.19.
I'll second.
Okay, seconded for John. So discussion. Troy, I can see, and John, you should have the specs all in your packet as well. This is the one, this replaces your truck, is that correct?
Yes, it is correct.
Okay. And while we're approving the dollar amount, they will be smaller budgeted amounts because we will lease this over multiple years, John. So this isn't one we care that needs to be green like the rest of the town trucks. Right? Okay. I moved, did you second, John?
I believe
You
I did.
Okay. All right, any discussion?
Nope.
No, okay, seeing no discussion, I will call for a vote.
Lessington,
I,
Waschinsky.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, I am going to make a motion that we approve the vendor award Putnam Ford as the vendor for a 2021 Ford F-450. But I'm not going to give a dollar amount as of yet. I may amend my motion after our discussion.
is that your motion?
That's my motion.
I'll second.
Okay, so for discussion purposes, Troy, I wanted to make sure I understood. So there's a final vehicle price at $6794.39. And then there looks like there are two choices for dump bodies. And we do want a dump body on this, right? This is replacing that maroon,
Nope,
dump truck,
this is replacing the 450,
the green.
the green 450. Yeah,
Okay.
so we use that to plow the lots.
All right,
This truck will come with a plow and a sander. So what will happen is that we're gonna put an aluminum body on it, stainless steel aluminum body. So the body will hopefully outlast the truck. There is a dollar amount that is cheaper if you want to put an all-season steel body. I wouldn't recommend that. We're
Okay.
running salt, stuff like that. That's why the price is.
so the $67.94 does not include the all aluminum body?
Right. I came up with a price
Okay,
that was $72,089.39.
okay, that's what I did too, but I also wanted to make sure, it looks like we're adding $600 to make it green. Was that 600 already in the
No.
price?
No, that's what needs to be discussed. So
Okay,
if you want to add that, you have to add another $600 to have the truck painted green.
okay,
And it would just be the cab of the truck. The body would be the stainless. So there's no paint on the body.
all right. So John, your thoughts? So it will come in silver if it's green to match the rest of our trucks. And I would say loosely the rest of our trucks. I know we ended up getting that plow truck, but in the time that we got it, we weren't able to choose the color. So we have a white, large dump truck. It is not green like some of the others. Troy,
Yep.
defer to you on your thought as to whether that needs to
I
be.
mean,
green.
it doesn't need to be green. It's basically total. I mean, that's the color when I came here. That's what the trucks were. So that's totally up to you. If you want to save $600, then the truck can be silver. Our service truck that was purchased is silver. So it didn't keep up with the green, but that's totally up to you guys what you would like to do. And I just want to make a correction. Those will be 2022s and not 21s.
Oh, okay, both of them.
Yeah, both of them.
Okay, so
Um,
we have on the list here, 60,794. And that does not include the price of the dump. So we have option for two dumps.
mhm.
The sander, however,
Is included into the other, the plow and the sander is included into that. It's just the bodies are the two different prices.
okay.
And your recommendation, Troy, is the all aluminum body, not the all steel.
Yes, yeah, the all aluminum body.
And that would be another 4,000 or so.
11,295.
11, yep. So I
So
think,
if we choose to keep it silver, then the total cost would be 72,089.39.
and then if you kept it, yeah, and then add the 600 if you
If we
want.
make it green at 72,689.39.
Okay.
So John, thoughts on green truck versus a silver truck?
Well, if we're spending this much on it, and we're coming within what we budgeted for, right?
Mhm.
As long as we stay in what we budgeted for, I'd say go for green then.
For green, okay. And again, Troy, you're saying it's just going to be the body of the truck, the dump will still be silver.
Yes, yep,
And currently is the dump green?
yes, currently it is green, yep.
So it'll be two-tone now if we go with green.
Right, yeah, it will have the silver, it will be basically, it would almost be like the dump truck, the new the one we bought, it would be like a silver,
Okay,
I would say silver, aluminum, it's gonna be shiny versus being green.
okay. You look at it very differently when you're not spending your own money, I'm not gonna lie.
And then we are trading the other 450 in, so that price
Okay.
will, it won't be that a dollar
It will
amount.
reflect that
It will
in the
reflect-
final contract. Okay.
Yep.
This is just the cost of the truck. All right, so then I will amend, offer a friendly amendment to my motion that to include the cost of, total cost of $72,689.39.
I'll second the amendment. to the motion.
So that makes it green. All right. All right, any further discussion on this vehicle? All right, seeing none, I will call for a vote.
Blessington,
Aye.
Waschinsky,
Aye. Motion carries. All right, the last vehicle is a replacement of the 2012 International Dump Truck. So I would move that we award the purchase of a new Freightliner 114 SD dump truck to Freightliner of Hartford in the amount of $212,538.73. I'm sorry, yeah, 73 cents.
I'll second that.
All right, discussion. Troy, what color will this one be?
That it will be green with a stainless steel body.
Perfect. Okay.
And this one will actually have, it's a little bit more fancier than the other ones. It will actually have a barn door we'll be able to open. It will have coal chutes in the back. So when we pave, the asphalt can come out at either side. There's a little bit more, there's a bigger motor than the one that was purchased before. Still plow, still the same body, the live body in it. Yes.
Okay. We don't have to pick the paint on this one, John. We get out scot-free on that one.
Yeah, that one comes included.
Any other discussion?
No.
All right. I happily call for a vote.
Blessington,
Aye.
Waschinsky,
Aye. All right, motion carries. All right, Troy, we will get those documents out to you. And then the next step in the process, we'll be working with our finance manager to begin the lease process to go to a town meeting. So thank you very much. All right, next item of old business is the discussion of the treasurer. So again, we came to the agreement as a board that we wanted to move in the direction of hiring an additional staff member in the finance office and still keep our treasurer position at a much smaller stipend. So I'm still waiting for, I apologize, I'm just checking to see if I did not, okay. Waiting for some more information regarding the position, specifically union related. We've shared the job description. So before we finalize anything on our end, the draft job description. And so I would suggest that we table this conversation. One more meeting.
Okay, I do have some questions on
Okay.
these. Do we want to cover that tonight?
We can try, yeah. And then if we don't, come to anything, we can, continue to table. So go ahead, John.
Okay, well, first of all, on the treasurer checklist that we passed out here, what does it mean, highlight with yellow for completed visions entry mean?
With what?
Highlight with yellow for completed visions entry. That's on, under daily tasks.
So visions is, that looks like a very specific way in which they're highlighting their vision entries. I don't have an exact answer, but I will reach out to our current treasurer to make sure we can answer that question. So anything that's done in vision software, they have to account for those deposits that come in when people pay. Sometimes they'll pay by check and then send a check in. Oftentimes they will pay with a credit or debit card online, and then it goes through a Stripe account, and then we get, so there's a lot of checks and balances to do to make sure what came in, Vision reported came in, was actually deposited to the account. But I can see if Lori can be on with us so that maybe someone can answer those, or I'll get those questions answered for you.
Okay, I was kind of hoping Donna would be here tonight. But,
Yeah.
then, I'll tell you what, why don't we ask Donna to attend the next meeting?
Okay. Could you do me a favor, John? Could you send the questions that you had over? So if she doesn't have the answers to them, we can make sure she has them for our next conversation.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay. Yeah, if you forward those to Heather, and then we'll try to make sure we can have as many of the questions answered, because they may be some of the same ones that Liza or I have, and can talk about them together. All right. So that is all of the regular, so I'll make a motion that we table this discussion to our next meeting.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Oh,
Aye. Okay, motion table. We'll save you that one, Heather. All right, I have no other old business, no other new business. We do, I will share with you that we, Board of Finance, approved some appropriations for open space potential purchase at their meeting last week. So we'll be looking for in the very near future a town meeting to take care of some of those things. So we're going to try to package that together with some of our new projects. So look for a town meeting happening in July. All right, is there anyone on the call that would like to speak? If so, you should be able to unmute yourself
Hello,
and identify yourself for the record.
Pete Tanaka, 125 Mason Road, Wellington. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. Just, I feel like I'm talking to myself sometimes with this. The only reason I'm present to speak tonight is on the last topic, the treasurer. As a member of the Board of Finance, and I do not speak for the remainder of the board. I want to emphasize that. Before you set in stone the job of the treasurer, I would kindly request that you forward it to the Board of Finance, as this is a department we work with quite regularly, and we'd like to see if there's any input which we can make. That's all I have to say for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else present to speak? Again, you should be able to unmute yourself and identify yourself for the record. All right. We'll move on to good and welfare. Again, any information regarding COVID-19 is available on the state's portal at portal.ct.gov/coronavirus. Mobile food share will be here at the town office building this Wednesday from 11 to 11:30. And if anyone has any specific questions, they can reach out to our Human Services Department. Always, if you were able to support our local restaurants and small businesses, I think we may have talked about it at our last, but I'm sad to say the River and Rail restaurant has closed. Again, part COVID, part the owners are relocating out of state. So we will not only miss their family here in Wellington, but that establishment for sure. So we'll look to see if something new is coming in. We have multiple board and commission vacancies. I will read them off, but certainly reach out to the town clerk's office for any specific details. CIP has one opening. Conservation Commission has 2 alternate spots available. EDC has 3 alternate spots. The Historic District has 1 regular and 2 alternate openings. Inland Wetlands has 2 regular and 2 alternate spots. Planning and Zoning has 2 alternate positions. The Rec Commission has 1 regular. The Housing Authority has one opening that will fill a vacancy. So that will just, the initial appointment would only be for a year until August 1, 2022. And the Eastern Highlands Health District, which you all reappointed me to last week, has one vacancy. So certainly in a pandemic, we can see how important our local health district is. So we'd like to have another vote on the Board of Directors from Willington. I had the opportunity and pleasure of attending the 8th grade promotion ceremony on Friday night. It was not a meeting, however, my fellow selectmen were also in attendance. So John, I'm sure will agree with me. It was held outdoors, but in person. It was wonderful to see all of our youngsters, many of whom I'm sure have been with us since kindergarten. And are moving on to high school that will take them outside of Willington, many to E.O. Smith. It was wonderfully done. My hat's off to the staff at Hall School. They put on a really nice ceremony. Those young people were able to have their families in attendance. And for those of us older folks like John and myself, we could still see our banners hanging in the background. They had them around the ball field, on the infield, along the fence. So all of the banners for previous classes at Hall School, well, in Willington schools, I won't say, going back to 1914, were all displayed. So it was a sight to behold for sure. We didn't get to stand under them as a group to keep folks separate, but they did a really nice job. So good luck to those kids. Good luck to our 4th graders who had their fly up last week to see what Hall School is all about. They had quite an adventure down the street here. There was like a shaved ice truck, a snow cone truck. There was a dunk tank. There was lots of fun to be had for those kids last week. They certainly have had a school year like no other. So it was nice to get a little sense of normal. On the not so great side, I did sadly hear that the Federated Church will not hold its annual flea market in September. So their church has decided to forego for this year. So once again, we hope to see them back and better than ever in 2022. But Willington Day, as of right now, will still be held on Saturday. I'm checking my calendar in front of me, Saturday, August 28th, with a rain date of the 29th. So we'll still have some activities to look forward to. And concerts in the park begin on July 7th. And I believe Bruce John is the first concert that night. So if you're able to, check out Concerts in the Park for sure. Our summer camp should be starting soon. So a little bit more normalcy. Halls Pond will be opening. Starting to feel a little bit like normal here. John, anything you'd like to share? Good and welfare?
No, I'll pass.
You're on pass tonight. All right, with no other business, I would move to adjourn at 7:17.
I'll second.
Seconded by John. All those in favor? Aye.
I
And I'm not really outside. See, I'm still here.
I was wondering why the sun was rising behind you.
That was actually a sunset, John. That was last May when they had the memorial on the green after Ted Demers passed. That was all the candlelight vigil that was held. That's what that is from. I don't know if you can see it,
I can see it. I just
but it was definitely, yeah.
sunset on a different
Yeah.
side of the. Okay.
It may be reversed. So a Zoom trick. All right, Heather, you can stop the recording. We could go on all night. Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Good night.